come up. Boom! Julius made it. He's the first one here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in from. How's it going, everybody? Mikey Wine here, aka Gundamonium Works, and we're on part, 6? Yeah, part 6 of this resin 148 scale Macross Tomahawk. And I've got a lot of the painting done. There's still a few things I got to do. I still got to paint the missiles and the cockpit. That's what we're going to focus on tonight. I've done laid down a lot of the. Oh, Fozzie Bear's here. What? It's about time. Been waiting all day. Well, hey, you made it. You're on time. That's the good part. You guys made it. You're on time. I appreciate each and every one of you. So, anyway, getting caught up here. Most of the primary colors are down. I also did a little bit of, just as an experiment, I did some panel lining on the shoulder pieces. I think it looks really nice because I wasn't sure whether I should use brown or black panel lining accent color I'm using the Tamiya stuff. But it looks like the black is really going to look nice, especially when I start weathering everything. But what I'm trying to do tonight, and I can put a little bit of this together for you, is speaking of that, I assembled the feet. So these feet sections are all glued together. Last week we were doing masking on primarily the bottom of these and these heel sections here. So that's all done. It came out really, really nice. I like it. But we're not going to really see much of that because they're going to be flat. So I wasn't too worried, on the not going to see them on the bottom, but I wasn't too worried about how clean everything would come out. There was a couple of portions where I had some paint lift, but I was pleasantly surprised with when I took all the masking off, because I had all these pieces done with masking, a lot of tape, some parafilm, and I was really pleasantly surprised, like I said, about I had only a couple little spots lift on me, and that's just the characteristic of resin. If you do your best to clean it really good and scrub it and use a degreaser on it. I use Purple Power and water and scrub every piece with a toothbrush. You try to get all that mold release off, but invariably you're going to have a couple of pieces that are just going to, there's a spot there or something like that. When you pull the tape, it lifts the paint right off. And I did have that, but I was really happy that it was only a couple little tiny spots, very easy to fix. One of them was actually on the bottom of the feet, and I think it might actually still be there because, like I said, I'm not worried about the bottom so much. I'm not going to see them. So, and I also, I took the parafilm off the knee sections here. Those pins are in. I started assembling some of the subsections, like the shoulder pieces here. I put the pins in. These are nice and tight. I made them that way on purpose because I wanted to make sure that under the weight of these big guns on the shoulders, they weren't going to just flop around loose. I glued the pins in for the elbow joint here. So as these go in, see, they move nice. They're still easy to move, but they're tight. They don't flop around. They turn nicely, but it's a snug fit. Also the shoulder. And so everything is going to be posable as far as that. Really, really nice. I'm happy with that. I still got some minor little details to do on these. There's a lens here in the front of these. I'm assuming it's like a targeting lens. Those will be painted red, some kind of a clear coat. Can you go into some small detail on how to shade some of the lines? Are you talking about the pre-shading? I painted everything in black. Let me know if that's what you're not panel lining. You're talking about pre-shading, I think, right, John? Let me know before I start jabbering on about it, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, okay, panel lining. So, or pre-shading, excuse me. So what I did is I bought, and I showed these off a couple weeks ago. Okay. because I didn't have enough of my Mr. Color resin primer, which is this right here. I really have very little left, and I hardly had any left that was already thinned. So I did some asking and talked to a few guys, and they were telling me that the Guyanets surfacer is really good for resin. So I decided to give it a shot. I bought about 6 bottles of each because go big or go home, right? I started with the gray, and that was just so I could see any of the imperfections, make the corrections, do another round of gray primer, make sure everything was fixed, all those blemishes, and whether they were seam lines or just scratches that were in the molds. And then the final coat. Hey, what's up, Nick? Hey. The final coat of primer was done in the black. And now this also acted as my pre-shade. So when I say pre-shade, some of the aircraft builders will do things a little bit differently. They will outline every little panel line with a pre-shade color and then spray their primary color over the top of that, kind of misting it until they get the effect they want. What I did is every piece was solid black. I posted some pictures with just recently, actually, that's showing that. So because you can do it either way. You can do the outline like some guys do. I've done that too. I decided to paint every piece completely black and then go over it with the tan color that I'm using now. And the idea is to kind of accent some of those higher surface, some of those edges, meaning that the black is going to kind of show through and create a little bit of a shadow. So you can either miss the whole piece, but because everything was black, I didn't have any lighter surfaces to just paint solid. So what I typically do is I'll start painting from the center and working my way out closer to those lines, those little like this is just a beveled edge, and then the corner edges. And as you get closer to those edges, you kind of stop with the paint and it allow a little bit of that darker pre-shade color to show through. At the end of the day, this is a good example. You can kind of see this is kind of what the effect. Now this is going to be covered up by the shoulder, but you can see these edges along here. All of the edges are kind of highlighted with that shadow. Now, if you go a little bit heavy and you cover those up, it depends on how much you want that pre-shade color to show through, is depending on how much paint you lay down on top of it. So I like to do a little more subtle pre-shades. So you can kind of see like along this edge here, it just kind of shows through. You can see all the edges, all the corners, basically all the lines, all the panel lines, or even just the corners. They all have that kind of a shadow effect. Now that'll light up a little bit more too when I finally use the panel lining on everything. Like the Tamiya stuff, panel line accent color. Once I do that on all these pieces, those surfaces, those little edges and stuff, are going to light up even more. Now, keep in mind that this is still not flat coated. It kind of has a semi-gloss finish to it. That's just the paint that I've used. I have not clear coated anything. This is after I masked everything off. I masked this off, painted that with black. Actually, I used the surfacer again to paint that black, and I did all these in gray. And then the knee joints were also done in gray. These will have to be panel lined as well. But everything is shaded. Anywhere you see these little darker areas, that's all pre-shade. That's just the effect you go. Now, you can go, some people like heavy pre-shading. They don't put as much paint on, and it really creates a heavy pre-shade. I typically tend to go more for the subtle looking uh, just the lighter areas. Like I haven't even panel lined this yet, but it almost looks like it's panel lined based on the pre-shading. So it's basically filling up those. You break it into area. I like to break it down into sections. Like each one of these is its own panel. This is a panel. This is a panel. This is a panel. So anytime I'm painting those pre-shades, it takes longer. It's a lot longer process than just blasting the entire piece with one color. You have to kind of slow down and work your way around those areas so you accent those lines. And then again, like I said, when you put panel line accent color on there, it's going to look even better. And this was just straight up black primer that I had masked off and then painted the tan color over top of it, pulled the tape, and now I've got these lines in there. So once I clear coat everything, start doing decals and more panel lining, it'll start to come together a little bit more. I'm trying to figure out, because I want the cockpit open. I want to be able to see what's going on inside, but the way this kit is designed, excuse me, it's not easy to see in there as well. Nick, what's it? Oh, Fuzzbear. Perfect. Now I understand. That helped out a lot. Oh, sure, John. No problem at all. Appreciate that. So what I'm trying to do, I did figure out, I'm looking at the cockpit, the way Moscato designed this. This is a 1/48 scale Valkyrie cockpit that he modified to create this little bathtub, basically, that it's a modified version of the Valkyrie 1/48 scale cockpit. So I have decals and photo etch to work with these controls. The only difference is what he's done. This is the top, the sensor. This would be like the main the screens in front of the pilot, and then these would be the camera, or the sensors and the cameras out front of the destroid. So when you put this piece on, kind of see how much smaller that cockpit really gets. So but I do want to have it open. And one of the things I figured out is this is the top of the cockpit. And you see this tab on the top of this camera setup here. This was designed to be kind of in this position here. Okay. In front of this is going to be a glass lens. But with this all the way forward, and you place it onto the torso here, there's no, I mean, this is the closed position. If I'm going to open this up entirely, this has to be, let me pop this out. This has to be all the way back here, because this piece has to slide forward to expose the cockpit. My problem is when you slide it forward, this tab, this part of the mold, this tab, there's nothing there to attach this to. So what I may do is I may cut this off completely. I have some plastic strip here, and this is exactly the same width as that tab. I may just cut this off. I'm going to have to double this up and basically create a laminate two pieces together to make it twice as thick, and make a new piece that's farther forward, so I have something to attach this to. Plus, if you look at this, this is about a 1/4 inch away from the front of the panel. If I move that tabs all the way forward, I can open up the cockpit that much further. Maybe I'll be able to see a little bit more. So, like by taking the tub, this is going to sit in here, kind of like this. And I'm probably going to have to repaint this in the front and down in this little valley in black. I'm going to have to redo that. But this is the back wall of the cockpit. And if you put this, I'm going to install this piece again. This is kind of where it's supposed to be. Okay, just like that. Okay, so if this sits on here, the instructions tell you to cut these 3 tabs off if you're going to close the cockpit for a better fit. Mine actually fits pretty good. You pop this on. I got to kind of work it down to get it to pop in there. Okay, just like that. So closed, I mean, mine, this cockpit closes pretty good. There's a little bit, it's raised a little bit on this side of it, so cutting those tabs off, I can get it fit. But you see how far back this top section is. This needs to slide forward. So what I need to do, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to try to put it as far forward as I can and still hold it there. So even if I move it, that's about as far as I can go into the current configuration. If I move it forward and then place this piece, it wants to fall off right away. So pop this in. This will sit right about here. So it really doesn't give you much view of the cockpit. If I can somehow slide this forward to maybe this position, then we'll be able to see a lot more of that. So I think what I'm going to do is modify this piece. I'm going to cut this tab off. I may not do that tonight. I'm going to cut this tab off and then make a new one with my plastic strip and just laminate 2 of these pieces together and carve this out. I think this was actually carved out to make way for the pilot's head, because the cockpit's pretty tight. If you take the seat and pop the seat in here, okay, and then if you took, hey, what's up, Julius? What's up? What about making a mold of that piece first in case it doesn't work and give you more options? True, if I had resin to make a mold or had the wherewithal to do that, that's a good idea. I don't think changing this is going to create too many problems for me, but that's a good point. But I think because it's just a matter, really all I'm doing is allowing this piece to be mounted further forward and expose the cockpit that much more. It's just because this tab doesn't even go all the way forward. The only problem is that this isn't a flat surface. So if I move this forward, I'm going to have to bevel this down a little bit. But because the cockpit's open, I'm not too worried about alignment issues back here. I just want to be able to see. Like, here's an example. Once I put the pilot in there, you can kind of see where he sits. The current configuration would have the cockpit door about here. And then those screens are right in front of him. You can't really see much. I want to just move it out to maybe here. Now, again, I'm not going to have a pilot in the seat, but I want to be able to see that much more of the cockpit. So I may do that. So here, we'll put the pilot in there, and then let me show you what this is like when you put the screens in front of him. I don't have my mags on. So yeah, there's the screens. I mean, they're literally right in front. It covers his face up, covers the head up completely. So I want to move that tab forward so I can move this that much more forward. So instead of being here, it'll be more like here. Make sense? I don't know. That's my idea. I think it'll work out. The only weird thing is because this piece is where the actual lens that goes in front of the cameras is located. So the lens is going to be moved that much farther forward. Still not a huge deal. But I've got some ideas for that. I can't find these anymore. And I'm struggling to find it. I wish I could find these because they're really cool. These were some, they're kind of like peel and stick little mono eye lenses, Gundam detail up parts and stuff like that. I've used some of the smaller ones. There's some round ones. There's some square, rectangle. They're like these little pearlescent kind of clear lenses that you can use to detail up your parts. So what I wanted to do was put 3 of those in the cameras here, as well as there's another spot I may use them on, and let's see, where was that? Oh yeah, like in the knees. These are the knee sections here. I'm really not happy with the glass pieces that came with the kit. They don't fit these holes very well. In fact, there's a gap on the sides. So I may end up cutting out new plastic, clear plastic to fit those. I also want to try to light up or put those lenses, if I can find them, some round ones in each one of the searchlight lenses here. There's 8 of them. So pop those in there and then backlight that, or back paint that with silver, some really reflective paint. And once the clear lens goes on in front of this, that will probably look really, really nice. But first I got to figure out what I'm going to put in that place. I did order some plastic lenses. It's like a Gundam for mono eyes. I got those coming. I don't have those yet, and those will probably work for the searchlight and these the knee sections. I just need to figure out what I'm going to do about the lenses that go in here, because they really suck. I'm not happy with them. I mean, they fit in there tightly. It's fine, but there's a huge gap. Like the mold wasn't made to the same shape of the glass lens, so it just doesn't fit right. So I'm not happy about that. Kind of discouraged about it. The other thing I finished was these are the missile hatches. Got those painted inside. Those look nice with the gray pre-shade, kind of a faded shade there. Those are panel lined inside, and those are all ready to go. So what I can do just before I get started on working on the cockpit is show you what this kind of looks like assembled. I'm going to pop these out so I don't lose them. I'm just going to put the top cockpit piece on, and then I will put the shoulders in. And these are fitted left and right. I had to, one of these there was a defect in the pin. It was hollow, like there was an air bubble in the thing. So when I had it clamped with my little clips, it kind of squashed it. So I had to use a little bit of CA glue to make the joint tighter, because it was just way too thin and it was too loose. So with that, we'll put these on here and here. Okay. So there we go. Torso. And these are still pretty heavy. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, let's put these on just for giggles here. I'm just going to hold these in place. So this is nearly what the assembled torso will look like without the missile packs in there. But I can put those on. I guess I can just put these doors on and shut them. So if these are in place here and here. So there we go. And like I said, these are pretty tight. Everything moves really nicely. I'm just not gluing this stuff together yet, because I still need to make sure I can do all my detail work and panel lining and stuff like that before I'm going to do my final assembly. With the torso, so there's the waist section. This will be glued in place, obviously, and then that's pretty much it. And the other thing that I did was I finished painting these back vents. I still have some detail work to do, because there's like some brake lights that need to be painted. There's another lens here. There's another lens here, here, and here. There's several lenses all over this kit that need to be painted. I'm just going to take these shoulders off. Squeak, squeak, squeak. That one's tight. Tight like a tiger. All right. Now, what I have here, are you going to use any magnets? No. My intention is not to use magnets, only because I don't think I really need them. I could, but I'm just trying to figure out why I would need to use magnets unless I was going to take this thing apart. Everything is really designed to go together. I'm going to put that on screen just so you can see that. Everything's designed to go together as a solid piece. So like the knee section here, that will glue on just like that. I don't even know why these are, I mean, I guess they're posability there, but once you glue the ankle in place, I think the knees are pretty much going to stay. What's up, George? How you doing, my friend? Yo, boy, yo. So the leg section here, I mean, this will be glued on. I don't really know why I need to have this pivot point. So I mean, I guess I could put magnets in. Well, because this is going to be glued. I mean, if I glued the legs into the torso here, I could do that, but it's not going to be posable. That's the thing. This is going to be glued together, and that's it. There's not a lot of movement because, like the ball joints, even these on the feet, these go in, but yeah, you can move them around, but they don't stay. You'd have to glue them in place in order to really get everything to fit. Fair enough. Wasn't sure about the kit since I haven't been able to check it out until now. Yeah, no worries there, David. No worries at all. So I'll probably just end it because the idea I have is to have this kind of set up like a hangar setup where you've got either freshly coming back from deployment or getting ready for deployment. So there's not going to be, the pose is just basically standing. There is going to be, it's not just going to be straight feet. It's going to be more of a natural pose to it. But I'm trying to, I'll get to that point once I get everything painted and start putting decals on this. As far as the cockpit is concerned, I have, this is a piece of photo etch. The last Valkyrie project I did, I used another set of photo etch because I wanted it to be the TV version cockpit. So the control panels were not used because they were in that other set. So if you look at these, you can see there's these two larger pieces. That's the control panel. This also has the seat belts, which is what I'm going to use on the seat for sure. And those will fit this perfectly. So I will use the seat belts. That'll be a nice touch. But what I've got to do, because the way they modified this tub, modified the original panels here. So if you look at the photo etch and then on each side of the cockpit, that's where these big pieces go. So I may need to modify the photo etch to fit this, or go back and start shaving down some of this other stuff back to where these will fit without modifying. Because even though these are painted, if you start trying to sand them or use a file, the paint sometimes just blows right off of it. It's not, I mean, the photo etch is painted, yes, but it's not bulletproof. It will not take the abuse. The big thing is these seat belts. They really look nice, and I haven't even started painting the seat yet. That's just still primer. But because this is an extra set of photo etch for the cockpit, I'm going to go ahead and use it. I did pull one out from another kit because I forgot I had this, and I just found it tonight as I was looking for something else. I had it hanging on my wall. It wasn't even in one of the other Valkyrie boxes, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to use that crap right now. So that's where we're at. I'm going to have to chisel off some of these raised details, though, in order to use that, because I had two ideas. I was either going to do that or I was going to use decals. So No, it did not come with photo etch, George. That was my photo etch from a previous Valkyrie project. But having built a few of those 148 Valkyries, I know the cockpit when I see one. So he basically took the 148 Valkyrie cockpit and redesigned it and molded it to fit this kit. So the photo etch is identical to what we normally use in a Valkyrie pilot kit. Was making dinner. Ron's making dinner. What are you eating, Ron? If you were making dinner, that's assuming that you have made dinner and now you're ready to eat said dinner. So what is it we're eating tonight? I'm drinking my dinner. All right. So I had two options. Use the photo etch or try to use these decals. Now these are leftover decals from, again, 148 Valkyrie. I didn't use the decals because I used photo etch on there, so I have the decals left over. I could use this. It's the same pattern as either one of these. It's kind of focused in it there. It's fairly nicely detailed. Hot bagel sandwich. Ooh, that sounds good, man. It does sound good, doesn't it? That's too bad. Oh, well, I guess they couldn't afford to include it. Yeah, right, George. As much as I paid for this damn thing, you'd think they would have everything in here. No. I like what he's done with the cockpit. I mean, it is creative knowing what he did to create, the actual cockpit. He just shaved it down and front and back. But basically, the tub itself and the seat, this is all Hasegawa 148 Valkyrie. I mean, even the pilot. The only thing he changed was the arm configuration. He cut the arms and made him sitting more like he's holding sticks rather than a pilot would be holding the flight stick between his legs or having his arms out on the Valkyrie panels here on the sides. So he bent the elbows, cut the arms, repositioned them, and actually made the hands look like they're holding sticks to fit this new configuration. So it was quite creative there. But another thing he did was the seat actually has the ejection handle in the mold. It's actually molded in, but the photo etch comes with an ejection handle. So I may, if I choose, I will chisel that out and actually put a nice looking photo etch ejection handle right there between the legs, since nobody's sitting in the seat anyway, and I'm going to use those seat belts. So the seat should look nice. That's another reason why I want to open this cockpit up more, is because if I'm going to spend all this time modifying this, I want to be able to see it. And because this is not going to be posed in any kind of like a action scene, it's going to be more of a hangar scene. That's what I'm trying to do. I have some extra. If I could repurpose the hangar that I used, I would do that, but it's too small for this. But I think I've got some other what are they called? Those you used to find them all over the place. Those H hangers, those hanger kits, the different anyway. I've got a ton of that stuff. If I can utilize that, I'll utilize that. Maybe put some catwalks in. Who knows? There's an antenna here that I drilled out that I have to install. I'm going to take a piece of plastic and make another antenna like I did with the Abrams tank and do that. There's also the other infrared sensor here that I have to paint. There's some few little detail things that I still have to do. Like I said, I still got to paint the missiles. It's quite a bit to do. But primarily, I want to work on the cockpit tonight. It looks like on the edges, you and your hangers. Sorry, man. I have to get rid of this stuff. You got to understand, George, I've had this stuff for years. And I'm just now trying to figure out ways to use it. I mean, I always had great intentions when I bought the stuff. And then it just sat in a box. And I've moved it several times. And now that I'm here, and I made the last hanger diorama with the Valkyrie, and I'm really happy with that. I thought, you know what, now I can use up some of this other stuff, and just get rid of it. it takes a while to paint it all, but it's nice to be able to just pick up a piece, set it down on the table. It looks good. You and your hangers. Well, this should be up your alley, though, George, because I know you talk about on your streams every morning. You talk about when you build a model, you build statues. You don't make them posable, and I don't either. You design a kit, you pose it in a certain way, and then you glue it in place because that's what you want. You don't want to scratch your paint. You want to damage it in any way. So, yeah, that's what you do. That's what I'm gonna do with this, especially because of the sheer weight of it. It's just so heavy. This piece alone, the torso it's just massive weight, and I just can't see putting this thing on a platform or something and trying to make it posable where I can change it up. One of the things he did when he designed the cockpit, though, it looks like when he built this bucket around the original, he put some plastic strip in as filler along the edges to kind of fill the gap between the control panels and the side of the cockpit. What's going to happen when you run out of hangers? Well, then I move on to something else. What scale, Julia? What are we talking about? Julia, have you searched high and low for hanger kits? Yeah, you're right, Julius. The stuff that I have is all that I have. I can't find the H hangers anymore. Those are a Korean company. I'm looking up at the boxes now. Those I bought years ago at Anime Expo in Los Angeles when I was still living in California. The other stuff, I can't even remember where I got it from. I still have a ton of the lighting kits and the little accessory, like working arms and stuff. Just stuff that I haven't used. But, once they're gone, I guess. That's the whole point of it. I'll use it up until it's used up. So what I was saying earlier is it looks like he took plastic strip, little slivers and glued them in to fill up the gap between the outside of the tub and the control panel. So in order for me to use the photo etch, not only do I have to take off all those raised surfaces and kind of smooth them out so the photo etch has something to glue and stick down to, I've got to carefully chisel out those edges, on those raised surfaces on the sides in order to allow enough space. Otherwise, I've got to modify the photo etch to fit it. I thought Bandai was making them now. Maybe wrong. You might be right. I don't know. What does it say? I need the option to put them all in compromising poses. Really, Ron? Yes, I suppose. See, that's what happened. You've spent too much time playing around with Warhammer. Oh, gosh, I'm really hesitant to do this, but I know it's all for the best. I've got my chisel out, and I'm getting ready to start scraping off these raised details because it's either that or hand paint this whole thing. So, anyway, to respond to what you said, George, I do hope Bandai is making them again. That would be nice. At least they would be readily available. It's just I don't know of any other company that has produced them in years. Off topic. What's John going to say? How long is okay to leave parts in Purple Power for cleaning before primer? I typically leave them in 24 hours. If you leave them longer than that, I don't think there's any problem with it. I don't use it for plastic. I don't know how it would react to plastic. I don't know if it's too aggressive for plastic. To be honest, someone else can chime in on that, but I only use it when I'm cleaning resin. And 24 hours typically is okay. A little bit longer, I don't think it'll be a big deal. But what I typically do is after I've left it in overnight, I will use an old toothbrush, and just brush every piece off under some water to clean off, not only clean off all the purple power, but also scrub any remaining mold release off of those parts. And I've been pretty good with this one. I'm actually, like I said this earlier in the broadcast, I was really happy with how little, when I pulled all this tape off, I had everything taped up, and I'm really pleasantly surprised by how little paint lifting I had. I had a couple little spots on a couple pieces, but that was it. Everything else was clean. Came off really nice, just like it was supposed to. Not that you need any mic. You have enough hangers. I know I have enough hangers. Would you use a dish soap for plastic? Yeah, dish soap will work for plastic. Like Dawn, dishwashing liquid. They always say Dawn gets the grease out of your way, right? So I don't even use it for plastic. I mean, I've never used, I've never cleaned parts on a plastic Bandite kit. I know some people do. I never have. I just use primer and go straight from plastic to primer. If you want to clean it, by all means, go for it. Dish soap will work fine, just as long as it's nice and clean. You got to make sure it's rinsed off. That's the important part. I think using dish soap is fine. You just don't want any left on there when you try to hit it with primer or paint. I left something a month, not what? I left something a month not happening. What does that mean, Ron? I left something a month not happening, or not happened. Nothing happened. Oh, you left something. You're talking about purple power. So there you go, John. You got somebody that has left his parts in for a month and didn't have any problems. So now, was that plastic or resin? Here we go. I'm going to start scraping. Now, again, this is resin, and it's pretty soft resin, so the chisels will make short work of this. Now there's one raised detail that I'm not going to chisel off, and that is it's on the left-hand side, and it is the throttle levers. Those are going to stay there because the photo etch goes around that. Photo etch is built with a hole in the center that actually fits right over that. So those are going to stay. I've just got to carefully take off not only those little strips on the sides, but all the little raised details. Plastic dab uneven. Oh, okay. So there you go, John. I think that answers your question. That was purple power, I'm assuming, Ron? As long as it's, I would still dilute it. I've used 100%, full strength purple power on small bits, but when I was soaking all these parts, I had so much of it, I didn't want to just fill up an entire, use an entire gallon of purple power. So I did dilute it, but I would say probably 50% to be safe. It's just a degreaser, so if it doesn't affect the plastic, then you're good to go. And like I said, I've never used purple power on plastic. I've only used it on resin. So these also modified the back corner of this cockpit with some weird little cylinder. So either way, I'm going to have to modify the photo etch a little bit in this back corner here. Because there's like this. You can see this little, back here, there's a cylinder. That's not there in the Valkyrie cockpit. So that photo etch is supposed to go all the way to the back wall. So I am going to have to kind of grind out a little bit of a corner here. But you see, here's the throttle controls. That I'm leaving alone. I'm just taking off all this here. And, some of the larger pieces I have to flip the chisel over, take them down, and then using the just basically scraping that surface to level it all down, almost like you would a panel line. But because this is such a wide chisel, I'm just using it as more of a scraper and just taking down that surface to a nice smooth level. So when I go to put the photo etch on, it'll lay down nice and flat and glue down very easily. One thing that concerns me is that damn strip, whatever he put in there to fill this. Gosh, that's tough. I'm going to try and just very ever so easy. I'm going to have to repaint this, obviously. I'm scraping it off. But I want to try to take off. There we go. I'm going to take down this filler strip that he put in along the side here. It's going to be a little crude at first, but I'll smooth it out as I get closer to that level surface there. Because this is also a mold of another piece now, it's a solid piece, but I imagine when I say he, I'm referring to Moscato. Imagine when he was building this, with whatever plastic pieces he took from the Hasegawa cockpit, he had to use those filler strips in there. I think I've got enough of that material out now that shouldn't get in the way. But I'll test fit it with the photo etch before I get there. 1/100. What scale? We're talking about 1/100. What are we talking about? Did I miss something in the chat? I posted a few sneak peeks of the 172 gouge that is still in production. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really hoping that because of my comments in the pictures I have posted about the quality of this kit versus the price, that when I get the gouge, I'm going to get a very clean kit. I'm hoping that he will not send me something similar to the condition of this one, because if that is the case, then yeah, my Moscato purchases will be no more. So I'm just taking down the other side now. This one's a lot easier. These surfaces are not very high. They don't stick up very high, so it's not going to take much to just peel this off. And I still have to contend with a little bit of that strip of filler, whatever you use to fill the outer edge. I just need to make sure that there's enough, enough of that panel there that will allow the photo etch to sit down, and I don't have to modify this anymore. I don't want to modify the photo etch. Let's put it that way. I want to be able to lay that down and glue it right into place. There we go. These bigger chisels work great for this kind of thing. Not so much for panel lining versus just removing material to a nice, even, flat surface. And now that I have these new ones from USA Gundam Store, I got the 4mm. I can really do some quick work with this. There we go. Okay. I can always add another piece of filler if I have to later. I just want to make sure that when I do put that photo wedge down, it's going to lay nice and flat. UCGS has its hangers at 144. Didn't see 100. Also have ones on MSG. 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 Refresh my memory. What are we talking about? Is it Mecha Warehouse or I'm talking about somebody else? Probably have the answer right in front of me. I'm just not seeing it. Okay. As it is, it looks like I may have to modify that photo wedge a little bit on the side with the throttle controls, just because it's just too hard to. Well, it might fit. You know what? We'll wait and see once I test fit, because I think one of those strips that he used to fill the gap went behind, like right up against the outer wall of that. Gosh, how am I getting resin in my mouth? I don't know, man. I don't have my exhaust fan up here anymore. I didn't think I was going to be doing this kind of thing. MSG is modeling support goods by Kotobukiya. Oh, okay. Nice. Search is going to be a mechanical chain base. Yeah, mechanical chain base. That was what they used to be called. And that's what I was thinking of. That's what I have left. And I can bust out a box and show you what I got. I've got quite a bit of that. In fact, those were the ones I found first years ago before I bought those H hangers at Anime Expo. And I bought those from a vendor, was a local store in Irvine. Was it Irvine Garden Grove? Irvine Garden Grove. Now he's no longer the owner of Robot for Less, but that was where I got them from originally. This was Robot for Less. Robot for Less kind of shot themselves in the foot. The new owner did, anyway. We had, when I was a member of those Gundam guys, we had display models on display at Robot for Less for years. And even when I moved up here, I just never bothered to go get them. I just figured, whatever, you know, I'll just, it's a donation, whatever. Anyway, lo and behold, later on, the owner, you know, they sell Robot for Less to a new owner, and rather than trying to contact anybody that owned those models, he decided to put price tags on them and try to sell them. And one of our friends happened to just be walking in that day and thought, why is there a price tag on my kit? So he saved a bunch of our kits for us. He was able to snag them up, and the owner wasn't too happy, but hey, you know what? It wasn't his shit to give away. Okay, so now you can kind of see in there I have scraped away those whiter areas. The whiter areas are where I have scraped away the panels for the photo etch. So, guess what I can do is take this back out. So, if you look at this side over here, you can see that's where this piece with the large opening is, because that's where the throttle controls go. So that's going to fit right on there. And then the other one will go on this side. It's nice because it's all pre-colored, really nice stuff. I just got to make sure it'll fit on there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to break out the 4x mags here. I got the big boys out because I got to see really close what's going on. Oh, let's see. What am I missing in chat? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up. All right. Got to attend to the damn kids later. All right, David. See you later, buddy. Appreciate you coming in, saying hi, hanging out for a bit. George and I are talking about who has hangers in stock. MSG, Molly Support Group, Mechanical Chambers. Well, cool. I'm glad you guys are finding that stuff because I know it's harder and harder to find these days. I went to Hobby Search and Moderoy is going to produce the Garland. Okay, I don't even know what that is. You're going to have to elaborate on that, George. The Megazone 20 Garland for Megazone 23. Huh. I don't even know what that is. I don't know. Do I want to know what that is? I don't know. So, all right, I'm going to cut out. I know I've got a fairly new razor here, so this should be fine. But I will need, and let me see if I can get my hands on it here. Uh-oh, where is it? Oh, here we go. I'm going to need my diamond file for any of these nubs coming off of the photo etch. So, excuse me while I bend down here. I've got to carefully trim off this photo etch and then see if it fits. One more right here. Oop. Yeah, at least they only made a few attachments for each one of these pieces, so there's not a lot to file. So now this is the, I can pick it up. All right, so here's the one control panel piece. I'm just going to make sure I don't have any little nubs left, and that's what I got these diamond files for. It's just to kind of knock down, and I can already see that paint chipping off. This stuff is very, oh shit, real delicate. You have to, it also bends very easily, which I just figured out. So you have to, in fact, I need a different file. I have another diamond file, which is a flat one that I can use the edge on as soon as I find it. Oh, that's round. Where is it? It's here somewhere, boys. Give me a second. There it is. Okay. So I use this on edge and just grab the edge of it to take off that little nub. Any little paint, if I do get a chip on it, I can easily touch that up later. No big deals. Okay, so I'm going to see if this is actually going to just fit right in there. It might not. Ooh, no, this one's not. I forgot I got that piece in the corner. So in order for me to do this, I'm going to have to set that aside. Let me try the other side first. That's the one with that little cylinder back here that I'm going to have to do quite a bit of modifying to, or cut that out completely. He said Robotech. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Later, David, stop raising them. It doesn't help. Yeah, I know, right? Overrated, right, Ron? Megazone 23 was the 80s AVA plant to be the Robotech. Oh. Yeah, I know, right? He said Robotech. How dare you? You Harmony Gold fan? I actually belong to a group called tyranny against Harmony Gold. Fans against the tyranny of Harmony Gold, basically. Which I think is kind of funny. All right, so I got this second piece of photo etch here. Now that I've cut it out, I'm going to grab, gosh, these tweezers. Gosh, this is so thin. I can't even pick it up. It's so thin. I'm trying to grab it with my tweezers, but don't want to move. So I'm going to bring it to the edge of my mat here so I can pick the damn thing up. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to take off any little nubs. You haven't seen Megazone 23. I've lost all respect for you. Are you talking to me, George? Or talking to Ron? Because I have not seen Megazone 23. So I'd hate to see. Okay. So now, let's see if this thing fits in there nicely. Which I think it will. Pretty close. It's just a little tight, so I've got to just scrape off a little more material here in the back. It's just to make maybe even in the front. It was almost a perfect fit, but because this is a mold of, mold of a mold, basically, there's going to be some slight imperfections there. You should not have respect for me. Especially Macross fans. Oh, this is going to get heated. Look, I grew up on Robotech. That was what introduced me to Japanese anime. I have a soft spot for Robotech. Don't get me wrong. But just keep in mind, I was a kid. I had no idea about the political BS going on with it, especially with Harmony Gold at the time. I was just watching a cool show. So yeah, I joke about it now, but back then, Robotech was it. That was it. Yeah, still got to take off a little bit more. That panel's almost in there. You can see it looks pretty good, but it's not fitting. If I press down on it now, it's going to bend the shit out of it. So I'm just trying to take off a little bit more. It's a little bit of that tab where it stops. I want to just take off a little bit more of that plastic, or the resin, excuse me, to allow that to fit nice and flat in there without buckling. If it needs a touch up, I can touch it. Touch it up. I don't have to worry about, especially the front, because a lot of this up here in the front area is going to be covered up by those screens. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so let's see if this fits again. I'm going to grab this piece and drop it in place. Oh, nice. Look at that. Fucking perfect. Okay, so now let this focus in. There we go. So that's what that piece is going to look like now. It saved me a bunch of time. Yeah, I had to scrape a little bit out there, but now I've got this nice painted piece of photo etch. I can glue that right in and not even drop a sweat. I had fallen out until I saw Mike's kits. No, now I have a 148. Nice, Ron. That's very cool. Especially Ron. I don't know, Ron. I like your style. Well, Ron, I'm glad I got you back into to Macross. Ron goes down the rabbit hole. Yeah, that is Ron. He definitely goes down the rabbit hole. So it's going to take a little bit more work on the other side because I do have to modify that piece quite a bit in order to get it to fit. But I like the way this one is fitting in there. It's going to look nice with that added color pop down in there already without having to really do much else. So I'm just going to take this back out for the moment. Now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do on the other side. I may just end up cutting off the back. I could just chop the back section off of that photo etch, because with the seat in here, there's not a whole lot that's going to be left behind the seat or on the side of the seat. I'm talking about like this area back here. So if I was to cut that photo etch down to stop here right before this cylinder, probably wouldn't matter at all. I might just do that. I think that's what I'm going to do. No more might about it. I think that's the way. They would say in the Mandalorian universe, this is the way. I'll just even this out. I can paint that later. I do, however, have a little bit to grind out on the other side of those thruster levers. There's a piece of that strip that whatever used in the mold to fill that gap, and it's behind that. In order for that photo to sit down flat, I'm going to have to chisel that out. Yeah, thanks, George. I think it's going to look great. And it's just like I said, it's extra photo etch I had. I used 2 sets on that one last kit, and it was extra pieces left over. So why not? You know, for a project like this, why not? Works out great. I'm going to need a chisel about 0.3 maybe. Let's see how 0.3 works. Nope, a little bit bigger. Let's go 0.5. Might be a 0.5. Nope, a little bit bigger than that. So what's nice about having a complete set, though, of these chisels, you just keep going until you find the one that works. Okay, 0.7 it is. So I'm just going in behind that little lever and just taking down the rest of that raised piece that was kind of in the way. And then I'll hand paint those levers once I'm done. The whole idea is to just get this photo etch to go in. So, what do I do? What do I use to cut this? I would say, let me see where this is going to sit first. Let's see how much I got to cut off. So if this is going to sit right there. All right, I think I see how much I'm going to have to cut. So I think the best thing to do is to use these little metal cutters here, and I'm just going to as easy as that. Trim that piece off. Now I'm going to drop this in and see if it fits. I got to take off a little more, I will. What you heard was my phone going off. I will check that message in a second. Yeah, it looks like I need to take off just a little bit more. Or, you know what? I know what it is. Actually, oh, shit, I just dropped that. Fuck. This stuff is so thin. So hard to pick up. I got a little bit of actually that plastic material. I keep saying plastic, resin in the corner here. And that's interfering with the back edge of that photo etch. I'm just going to kind of dig down in there and get out that extra material. All right. Sorry this kit was a super raw, but watching you resolve it makes me feel far more confident about resin kits. Yeah, I appreciate that, Ron. I'm going to put that on screen. It does look like the one I saw in the image. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with garage kits, or unlicensed kits for that matter. So, am I asking too much? You know, maybe I'm being, my expectation, you know, too high. I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't, to be honest. But I think most people agree, or who have been watching the photos I posted and the comments about this kit, the quality versus price, and everybody has pretty much said the same thing. Even though it's a garage kit, if it's going to cost 500 Canadian, you know, then it damn well better be good, you know. And this is, you know, 400 plus US dollars for this thing. So yeah. And I don't, you know, I don't buy kits like this all the time. I was afforded the opportunity under, you know, what's going on, one of the circumstances in my life right now. I was afforded the opportunity to do this, and I took advantage of it. I normally would not be spending this kind of money on two kits, for sure. I'll take off a little bit more just on the back. I think this is about ready to sit in here nicely, though. Oh, we're almost there. Yeah. Let's get down there. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. I'm going to put this this other side back in so we can see both sides at the same time. So I'm going to pick it up here again without chipping the paint. That's the important part. Okay. Oh, no. Don't fall. Get back in there. There we go. All right. So now, with that little modification on the other side, now I got both control panels in there. I'll hand paint those on this side. There's the throttle levers. Those will get painted red and black. Those will shine up, you know, or show up a lot more now that they are. Actually, the photo etch has already a cutout for them, so the photo etch fits right around that. I took out any extra material needed to make room for it, and now I just got to touch up the paint, you know, in the bucket section there, and then I can paint the seat and put all that in, and then we'll worry about the other part, which was adjusting how far that hatch will open, or being in the open position. I want to be able to expose this cockpit as much as possible. Because again, even with this on here, if I put this piece back on, it'll sit just about like that. So it covers up a good portion of that. See what I'm talking about? I want to be able to see all that. And then we put the seat in there. Oop, get that in just right. There we go. So now with the seat in there, let's get it to focus. Come on, baby. There we go. So with the seat, it's a little bit harder to see everything, but let's see, Julius, what are you asking me? Are you going to enter anything in the new USAG contest, UC or UA? I have not heard of this. It's a USA Gundam store? Is the contest they're doing? Is that what I'm seeing? Is that what I'm reading that? Live life, dude. It's like 10 years until Skynet. Oh. Is that all? Only 10 years until we're taking over? So I think the seats kind of flop around because I'm moving this, but yeah, that looks pretty good with those in there. And then once I get these screens painted, there's even one on the side. I think that's supposed to be a screen too. On this, there you can see on the side here, there's like a screen here. That'll be painted like a blue, some kind of a bluish clear coat or something to brighten that up and make it look like a video screen of some kind. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what contest you're talking about. Funny thing, like the last time I heard about a contest at the last minute was Bandai was putting on their Star Wars Galactic model competition, and I heard about that at literally the last second, and I entered my Mandalorian Season 1 Episode 8 Scout Trooper diorama and ended up winning that whole thing. So yeah, you know what? I might just enter this thing, whatever it is. Let me know what it is. You can DM me too if it's too much now. Obviously, we're doing the stream right now. It's kind of hard to look it up. I don't want to look it up right now. Let's see what my phone was going off earlier. Who's blowing me up here? Working at the duplex. Okay, so my buddy's not watching. Sounds like homecoming parade and rally underway. Oh, I got you. There's a high school close by my house, and certain nights we can hear the football games, we can hear the bands, we can hear the crowds, screaming at the players, and it just kind of that thing off in the distance, in the background. So my wife just said it sounds like homecoming. There's a bunch of stuff going off. We've even heard like police cars, with their sirens and stuff like that, set it off just as part of the celebration or whatever. So it's kind of cool. That's when I met you. When did you meet me? Oh, 10 years ago. I'm sorry. I'm trying to catch up to what's going on in the chat. So I like the way those look. I'm not going to glue them in place yet because I still I want to paint everything else around it first and get all that done so I don't have to worry about screwing up my nice photo etch. So for the time being, I'm going to remove these. Well, I better put my mags back on. Man, I tell you, when it comes to some of this stuff, I have to use magnifiers. I cannot see anything anymore. So I'm just going to pop this back into my little envelope here for safekeeping. This one doesn't want to come out. It's going to take a little bit extra effort. That one kind of fit in there snugly anyway, which I'm happy with. I'm glad it's a tight fit versus a precise fit, versus not fitting well at all, but it looks good. All right, we'll save that for later. Oh, when you went to Star Wars contest. Really? That's when I met you? I thought I knew you before that. Zach announced it today. So it is a USA Gundam store. Huh, okay. Well, I don't know. It's obviously going to be Gundam related, right? Julius? Let me know, because I don't have anything except for maybe the Hainu, unless they want something new to be built, that hasn't been made in the last year or something, then maybe I can do that. But if they want a new kit, built off the assembly line, I won't have anything ready for it. So probably not, but as far as like Zacharias, since he moved back to the US, I don't see as much of his videos and live stream for some reason. But I really like Zach. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a really nice guy. His heart's in the right place, especially when it comes to raising his kids and stuff. That's one of the reasons he moved back to the U.S. Because he just couldn't get the education system that they have over in Korea just wasn't going to work out for him. So they came. That was one of the reasons he came here. So I applaud him for that, for sure. Anyway, moving on. What else do I need to do here? I could start painting. What I might do, though, since I scrape this all the way down to bare resin again, I'm probably going to have to hit this with with primer and start over. Yeah, I think that'll be the best bet. Then I've got to figure out how to do these screens, because there's like 3 video screens. I've also got to trim this piece off the top and reposition that. So maybe I can start cutting that up, but it's getting down to the wire here anyway. We're at 7:23 my time. That's 10:24 East Coast. So we're going to be wrapping things up here shortly anyway, so I probably won't get started on that. Well, I could bring out the chopper maybe. Let's bust out the chopper. Get to the chopper. Come on, quit screwing around. Just do it. That's what Arnold would say. He'd say, just do it. Quit screwing around. Get some pieces on here and just do it. Right? Give me what I want. That's what he'll say. Give me what I want. So this is about 1 centimeter, which these are not done in centimeters. So I'm just going to cut a couple of pieces. Make sure I'm exact. So there we go. Just saying, we've never seen them in the same. Looks like Mankey. You think Zach looks like Mankey? I don't know. Maybe I need to look at both of them side by side again. I don't see it, but sent you a link in IG, basically make a UC kit look like a UA kit. Oh, okay. Interesting. So I probably won't be able to, only because I'm busy with this project. I don't really want to slow down on this. I've got a pretty good head of steam going, so I'll be interested. I'll check it out and see. Who knows? Never say never, right? But one of the other reasons is I just haven't been super excited about Gundam stuff lately. I've just been more or less just kind of doing this stuff. So I made this tab. I'm gonna laminate these two pieces together so I can recreate this tab on top here. Looks like that's pretty much what he did. It's the same thickness with two pieces of this, same width, approximately 10 millimeters. I can adjust that as necessary. I'm just going to glue them together, let them dry overnight. I'm just going to get a little bit of my thin cement in between to kind of hold them, and then I will go around each edge. Let that glue just seep right in. Need to get a different brush. This one's all fuckered up. I extended it to try to get it further down in the bottle because it was harder to get, as the glue gets used up, it's hard to get it down in there. And then I must have extended it too far because now it's got a wicked bend in it. It doesn't work right. All right. A little more around each edge here to make sure that I've got a good fair amount of that thin cement in between these layers. All right, we'll let that sit and dry overnight. Then I can trim off this piece here and glue on the new one. Yeah. All right. So with that, my friends, thank you so much again, wherever you have joined tonight. Appreciate each and every one of you. Put all this away here. So, friends, family, thank you so much for joining in tonight. I appreciate the conversation we had. It was awesome. I hope what you saw didn't put you to sleep. It didn't put me to sleep, so I'm hoping it didn't put you guys to sleep. And next week, we'll see where we're at. I'm going to continue working on the cockpit, doing those mods to make sure I get a good, nice opening for this so we can see down in there. At least, if we're going to work so hard on these details, we want to be able to see them. So that's what we're going to do. Might do some more panel lining on the remaining pieces. I don't have much painting to do with other than I got to paint the missiles, the guns and stuff that go on the front here. All those barrels still need to be painted. Excuse me, the back wall. I know what I want to talk about. This back wall of the cockpit. See you, Ron. See you, George. Good hanging out with you guys. This looks like a light, like a backlight that would be lit up the back of the cockpit. I think I'm going to try to paint that to look like a glowing light. So we'll see what I come up with there. I might use white and a very light blue to kind of give that effect of a light back there in the back of the cockpit. But that will be done another day. For now, thank you again, everybody, for joining in tonight. Love each and every one of you. Be good humans. We'll talk to you soon. And we will see you next time, next Wednesday, next hump day. We'll see what happens. Talk to you soon. Later, guys.